So while we're all stuck indoors living in a viral nightmare world, what better time than to release a video game about characters living in a viral nightmare world? Yeah, that's right, since Resident Evil 3 Remake is shortly on its way, I thought why not do a Film Facts video on something Resident Evil related? And then I realised all we have are these. Shit! So we're going to be taking a look at the first installment. Right, let's crack on, because if you had questions like what connections and Easter eggs does this film have with its video game cousins? How could the story of this film have been very different to what we got? And
that was too close. You were almost a Jill sandwich.
then we got the answers for you. Oh, would you look at that, it's number 1. So Resident Evil is a 2002 action horror film based on the popular video game franchise. The film is written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, a man with just a string of hits. The film borrows elements from several Resident Evil games, including Resident Evil, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and Resident Evil Code Veronica. The story follows Alice, who wakes up in an empty, mysterious mansion, having no memory of how she got there or anything of her past life. She then encounters an elite commando squad working for the Umbrella Corporation and attempting to contain the outbreak of the T-Virus at a secret underground facility. Number 2. German production company Constantin Film bought the rights for Resident Evil way back in 1997. The company hired several writers to create a possible script for the film. The first writer was Alan B. McElroy, who had worked on films like Halloween 4 and Spawn. You remember that classic? McElroy's script was described as being action and horror-packed and also being very violent. His script had no mention of the Umbrella Corporation or the STARS team and followed a special forces team as they are sent by the government to rescue scientists from the Mansion laboratory. Once there though, it is revealed that, it's a trap.
It's a trap!
And the special forces team find themselves trapped in a twisted medical experiment. The script would feature all of the characters from the first game, including Chris and Jill. The script, however, was eventually rejected. Ooh, it's number 3. So after that script was rejected, they asked Zombie King himself, George A. Romero, who had actually directed a TV commercial for the game Resident Evil 2. Romero had his assistant play the entire game and record the gameplay so he could study it as a resource. Romero's screenplay was based on the first game and included Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine as the lead roles. Other characters to appear would be Barry Burton, Rebecca Chambers, Ada Wong, and Albert Wesker. Despite having much support from members of Capcom, Romero's script was also rejected. In 1995, Paul W.S. Anderson's low-budget film Mortal Kombat, despite being a terrible movie, it was the first commercially successful video game adaptation, although back then it probably wasn't that hard. Not like there's much competition. Because of this, Anderson was offered to write a screenplay for Resident Evil. Anderson had already written somewhat of a script when he had played the first Resident Evil game and wrote a type of rip-off script named Undead. Anderson went back to that script after being offered the job on Resident Evil and updated it to fit the film. Oh, number 4. The film had originally been called Resident Evil Ground Zero, as the film was considered to be a prequel to the games. The title, however, was changed after the 9/11 attacks. The film takes elements from the story Alice in Wonderland, such as the main character being called Alice, her descent into the hive as in Alice going down the rabbit hole, and the addition of the Red Queen. Being subtle was never Anderson's strong suit. I got 5 on it. Copyright strike. During production, dancers were hired to play the zombies in the film as they were able to move their bodies in unusual ways. Some CGI were applied to a few zombies, such as eyes missing or parts of their face removed. The cast also received military training from an ex-Navy SEAL, which included commando training as well as training in several martial arts. Oh, don't believe it, it's number 6. Right, let's look at some mini facts. The dogs used in the film were of course real dogs with makeup applied to them, however they proved to be a little difficult for the crew to handle as they kept licking off the makeup. Milla Jovovich has stated that the main reason for starring in this film was because her brother Marco was a huge fan of the games. The cast was instructed to prepare for the film by playing through the first game, but many of them felt they wouldn't be able to complete the game in time, so much like Romero they had the gameplay recorded so they could watch it back. James Cameron considers this film as one of his guilty pleasures. Number 7, baby. Number 7. So of course Resident Evil is based on the video game franchise and there are a number of references to those games, so let's check some of them out. At the end of the film, Alice wakes up in a hospital in the middle of a devastated Raccoon City. This is a reference to both Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, Nemesis. Of course, Raccoon City is seen and mentioned several times, referring to the same fictional city within the Resident Evil video game world. Likewise, the Umbrella Corporation is also mentioned several times and their logo is seen multiple times throughout the film. The underground train is a reference to the train featured in Resident Evil 2. The train also bears the name Alexei 5000, which is a reference to the Code Veronica's villain, Alexia Ashford. But hold up, suckers, cause there's more. You wanna know a secret? It's number 8. A police cruiser at the end of the film in which Alice takes a shotgun from has the STARS logo. Jason Isaacs makes an uncredited cameo in the film playing a masked surgeon in the end of the film. This character is a reference to William Birkin. This character would also be played by Ian Glenn aka Jorah from Game of Thrones in the sequels. The Nemesis program is mentioned during this scene as well, referencing the Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. Crows are seen when Alice goes outside the mansion. Crows were of course a minor enemy in the games and a fucking pain in the ass. When returning to the Red Queen, someone makes a reference that the bodies in the glass hallway are gone. This is a reference to the fact that the bodies of the enemies within the games will disappear over time. We get a liquor in this film, which is a reference to the same enemy first introduced in Resident Evil 2. The map of the Hive, which is seen several times throughout the film, resembles that of a video game map. The film even features certain camera angles that reference the unique camera angles used in the early Resident Evil games. Good heavens, number 9. Both this movie and its sequel appeared on legendary movie reviewer Roger Ebert's most hated films list, which was published in 2005. In his review, he described Resident Evil as a zombie movie set in the 21st century where large metallic objects make crashing noises just by being looked at. I say, old chap, it's number 10. Resident Evil was made on a budget of $33 million and managed to gross $17 million on its opening weekend and a total of $102 million worldwide. So yeah, of course sequels to this film were incoming like a deadly virus. Resident Evil has a total of 5 painful sequels, starting with Resident Evil Apocalypse, the Nemesis one, followed by Resident Evil Extinction, the Desert one, Resident Evil Afterlife, the one where she flies a plane at some point I think, Resident Evil Retribution, the one where something happened I guess, and Resident Evil The Final Chapter, which I tried to get through, but then I realised I could be doing something more practical, like eating glass. Well, there you go, 10 facts about Resident Evil, the movie. And hey, if you like this and you want to see more, then why not check out our other Film Facts videos. They cover both film and TV. And if you want to help out the channel and you don't want to miss out on anything that happens on here, then why not consider subscribing and hitting the bell thingy to stay notified. But thanks for watching, guys.